Hi everybody, this is Julie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a fun little haul. It's a fun and different haul because I got to experience shopping out of town for a whole week. I got to check out Dollar Trees, antique malls, thrift stores, all kinds of fun places near my daughter's college campus. If many of you follow me on our Thursday live streams, you'll know that our daughter's car was unfortunately stolen on Good Friday, but thankfully, Easter Day, local police officers in a town nearby, they found her car, they discovered her car. So we are so thankful and blessed that we got it back. But because it was the Easter weekend, it took a bit of scrambling to try to figure out rental cars. Could she even get a rental car because she's under the age of 25? How we were going to do all that. Everything was closed for Easter weekend. So I pretty much ended up driving her to school the 4 days she attended that week. Some of the days I stayed in the area around her campus and shopped. I actually was kind of excited at the opportunity to do that, kind of check out different places. We live in Los Angeles County, and her university is in Orange County, California. So it was really fun just to see what the Dollar Trees were like. Dollar Trees were even different than what we had locally. So I basically made lemonade out of lemons, and I had a fun time. Now, there's not a lot here. I will tell you, I wrote it down just so I'd remember. I went to one Dollar Tree. I went to one Home Goods, but that was just because we needed a new set of sheets. I hit up 2 antique malls in the area and 5 thrift stores. So I went to 2 Goodwills, 1 Savers, 1 Assistance League, and 1 little independent thrift store, which was a total bust. Let's get started with the haul. Also, I did pick up a lot of items at Dollar Tree for our motorhome that I'm not showing here. I just needed some bins and dish soap and just some things that we were short on that we needed to replenish our supplies for any trips coming up this summer. So that stuff I'm not showing you, just the craft supplies that I picked up. And I'm not going to go in any order. I'm just going to grab things as we go. Actually, let's start with the ribbon. So I did hit up Dollar Tree, as I said, and I did not have these 3 colors. I love this gingham ribbon. I use it all the time. Doesn't really say. It's $1.25. Some of Dollar Tree's items have gone up to $1.50, but this one is still marked $1.25, and I didn't have these 3 colors. So super happy to find them. I don't find this gingham ribbon frequently at my Dollar Tree. Haven't seen it in a very long time. Also this. So some of these are kind of opened. I attempted to film this haul last week, and my phone ran out of battery power, and apparently I was talking and it stopped filming. So some of this stuff looks to be a little bit open, but I wanted to go back and film this for you. I love this kind of cotton crochet trim that they carry. Again, I don't see it very often at my Dollar Tree, so I was really glad to see it at that one. I don't have this particular design. There's just one design that they carry that's in the thinner trim, and then I think they have 3 different designs that are this thicker, probably closer to 1 inch, and I didn't already have that. So I had a bunch in my cart, and I'm like, no, I don't need that much. So I just grabbed the one. So that was Dollar Tree. Actually, let's just do Dollar Tree. I think the only other thing, that I have here that's a craft supply from Dollar Tree is reindeer moss. When I was making assemblages for a crafty marathon, I realized that I didn't have any moss. I had used everything I had up, and I'm glad I found this at Dollar Tree because I almost picked up a bag right around the crafty marathon at Joann's, and it was definitely a lot more, and I talked myself out of it because I knew that Dollar Tree carried it, but again, I don't ever see it at my local one, so that was an awesome find. The other thing I picked up are these, so these were the 2 things I picked up. So one of the thrift stores was the Assistance League. I was really interested to check it out and see what it was like. We have one in Long Beach, and then we also have one here super close by in San Pedro. In fact, that's where I take consignment things. They take newer consignment, but I tend to take vintage things, things that are too heavy to ship. I'm still going through things that were my mom's and maybe things that haven't moved on Etsy for a while. So it's a great outlet to do, but I would say it's more boutique. They carry clothing and newer things, and then and like C's Candy, which is fun and interesting, lots of jewelry, and then they consign jewelry, vintage, newer, very nice things. They're really, really picky about the things that they take in. So this one was interesting. Definitely not as nice as our Long Beach one or our San Pedro one, but I did manage to find these two things, and they were really well priced. These are so fun. I think I opened them on a Vintage Craft and Chat a couple weeks ago, but they were only 50 cents. They were taped shut, so I couldn't see what they were, but I could just tell this graphic was super fun. I've never seen them before. They're put out by Hallmark Cards, Inc., and they are so fun. So the back of the cards all have the same graphic. Isn't she fun? They're not in good shape. You know, they've been well played and well loved over the years, I think, which makes them even more fun. So here's just the instructions. But look at the graphics on these. I'm going to pull them a little bit closer. Fat Cat. We have Eeny, Meeny, Jeannie. Some of them are kind of in order. Look at her. Nellie Nail Biter. Redhead Fred. I thought these would be so fun, maybe for Halloween journal, especially with the colors. I think she's fun. There might even be a witch in here. Look at him. Like that screams Halloween journal to me all day long. Aren't these fun? Look at that Bomber Birdie. I thought there was, oh my gosh, Super Rat. I thought there was like a witchy looking lady. He's great for Halloween. So these are fun. This one's definitely has seen its worst days. I like how they taped it together so they could still play, but super fun. Maybe there isn't a witch. Oh, there is. Oh, well, okay, this is not a witch. It says Madman Martin, but it looks like a witch to me. Oh my gosh, so fun. Those were a great find, especially for 50 cents. I never find cards for 50 cents. Do you guys? I don't know. The cards are so expensive here. Even Savers, they'll put them all in one bag, but then you have to buy like 5 of them, and they're usually very plain utilitarian cards. And then if you get lucky, maybe there's one design card in the bag, but I don't see plain cards that often. The other fun thing I was very excited to find is this vintage. So it looks a little bit newer, but they are 1990, so they're 35 years old. So definitely vintage. It was only $2 for this pack, and these I was able to open. They weren't taped up because I wanted to make sure that they were more of a matte card, which they are. There's a little bit of a gloss on the one side, and then this back side is completely matte, so there's no glossiness, but the gloss is not high enough that you would have to sand it in any way when you're collaging on it, or if you wanted to decoupage paper napkin or something to it. It still has a matte enough surface. And the reason why I was happy to find them, if you attended last week's Vintage Craft and Chat, our live stream together, we made journaling tags out of flashcards. And because I picked up this pack, I had enough to put a variety pack together. So I have 5 different types of flashcards. So I was able to put together a variety pack of 2 each, so making 10 cards. So it's a nice even number and a really nice pack. I'll show you that. I started with a quantity of 3. Somebody has since come into the Etsy shop and buy them, but this is how they're packaged, so super cute. And in this are the 1950s, so there's 4 of the really old, very tall Ideal cards. You can kind of see them from the back. There's 2 of the Rose Art, so those are probably the youngest, and then these might be from the 90s as well. So they're anywhere from 1990, so 35 years old, all the way up to the 1950s style. And there's 10 in this packet. So that's in my Etsy shop. I'll put a link below. And if you didn't watch last Thursday's Vintage Craft and Chat, you can go back and watch. But these are some of the journaling tags that I made with the flashcards. So using images from botanical books and little handmade labels and strips of vintage style paper. So those are a ton of fun. In fact, this card right here was made with the Rose Art cards. So super fun on that. So I'll put a link below to that as well. Oh, this is just a loose one. I think this was stuck to this in some way. Yeah, maybe it was stuck there and then it was taped on. I don't know why they did that, but that's a cute card. I like the graphics, so that was a freebie. I picked up this package of brand new lunch napkins at Goodwill. They were $1.49 at one of the Goodwills I went to. And the thing I love about the Goodwills in Orange County, California, is they get brand new items from Target. For some reason, we don't get that in our LA stores. I probably would frequent my Goodwill stores if they did. So brand new, like actual brand new in the box, in the bag, brand new items. This maybe was, I kind of feel like maybe this was a Target item at one point in time, but that's a great price. Pretty close to what you'd get at the Dollar Tree, and definitely cheaper than Marshall's or TJ Maxx. They were originally $3, which is still even cheaper than those stores. So I was happy to find those. I love to take the smaller images and use them to make my little handmade gift tags that I use when I'm packaging up my Etsy orders, and even just taking like one whole piece here and doing a fun journaling card would be really great in a Halloween journal. Let's see here. Oh, let's look at this. Let's look at this ribbon. So one of the antique malls I went to, well, let's digress a little bit. The first antique mall I went to, it was okay. I didn't find a lot that I loved. I'm rather picky about what I'm now picking up in terms of things for my own collection. I'm mostly looking things for junk journaling, craft supplies, that kind of thing. I'm not really looking for a lot of home decor items, so I didn't find a lot to craft with, like vintage linens and that kind of stuff, or I should say things that were well enough priced for me to pick up to craft with. The only thing I picked up in that first one is this little vintage metal candy container egg, and I do collect these. Often they say made in Hong Kong. This one actually says Canada, container made in England, but I know a lot of the ones that I have are from Hong Kong. I don't know, because my Easter stuff is already put up. I don't know if I already have this design, so if I do and it's a duplicate, it will end up in my Etsy shop. That's typically what I do with any duplicates, and I think I might have one listing left. I've sold quite a few of those over the years. So that was a fun find, because I don't find these very often. I'm always kind of on the look for them. And then when we're talking about eggs, I picked up this really cool one at the second antique mall that I went to. And I originally picked it up thinking I would keep it in my collection, but then once I kind of compared the two, the eggs that I collect are these really kind of bright, more pop of color, primary colored eggs. And this one, it just didn't seem to match as well. It's just kind of a one-off, but I could tell it was special. I've never come across one of these eggs before, but I could just tell it was old because of the coloration on the graphics. I thought, you know, likely was probably 1950s. Look how cute it is. Look at those bunnies and the little ducks, and do we have chicks here? And the little chicken. And so once I got home, I thought, you know, I'm going to pass it on to somebody else that maybe has a larger collection of these. I did find out in my research this was made by Colmore, so Colmor, and it actually is from the 1950s, so it's a mid-century candy container. It does have some wear, but of course it's awfully old. I actually think it's in lovely condition. The graphics are really nice considering the age. And so this has now been since listed in my Etsy shop. I can put the link down below for that as well. But it is lots of fun. I definitely would have kept it if it had blended with my own collection, or if I had a couple more in my collection. I think that would be really fun. So that's it with the eggs. The other thing I found at that second antique mall, along with the egg, there was one vendor that had lots of vintage linens, tablecloths, sheets, that kind of thing. Such a really cute booth. And then she had these little packages of vintage trim. This one is marked $3.50 and it is so beautiful. I thought those were really well priced. There's a lot here. I would probably say 3 yards if I'm guessing. It doesn't say on there, but I'm guessing probably about 3 yards. But isn't that beautiful? So there's enough for me to use and maybe possibly share in my Etsy shop, depending on how much is here, and maybe in some upcoming Happy Mail things that I'm putting together. So I thought that was really beautiful. And then this pack was $4. A lot more here. Gosh, this could actually be maybe 5 yards. I don't know if I'm kind of guessing, but it is so beautiful. Again, I thought it was really well priced. I don't run across a lot of vintage trims. Isn't that beautiful? And the reason why I wanted to grab this just now is in comparison. So if you're like me and you don't come across antique trims, kind of this natural crochet look often. I mean, I think this is the only time I've really come across it, which is sort of surprising. I think the Dollar Tree trim is a perfect stand-in, right? If you don't have the vintage or the antique, I think that's a really close second, and it's so economical. That's why I love this trim so much. So this would probably be something I would just use on a regular project, and then this would be something that I would craft with that for me would probably be a little bit extra special. Glad to find those. This little pack I picked up at Savers. Again, it is open because I did film, second time going through and filming. Now, I don't pick up stamps that often. Definitely don't pick up the wooden stamps that often because they take up so much room, but I thought these were all particularly cute and it made me pull the trigger on them. I think I only have just a couple Valentine. Maybe I have some like flat like silicone ones. I may even have picked them up at the Dollar Tree, but I thought these were really adorable. They look to all be brand new, I think. Yep, brand new, never used. What's the manufacturer on them? 2012, they're probably all the same. Yeah, 2012 Katie and Company, Studio G. I've never heard of that maker, but I just love how modern they are. They're nice and clean. I thought these would be great to make labels out of, right? And I love the sort of vintage looking graphics on them, even though that they're newer and modern, but how cute would that be? So we'll be making some really cute little labels as we get closer to Valentine's Day next year. How cute is that? And then look at this one. I liked how there's two different colorways here, the red and then the pink, but in looking at the stamp, I think we could probably replicate that. We'll just put some pink or red on that side. We could even use black, or I don't know, we could use other combinations too, but I thought that one's extra special. And then we'll probably come in and cut it out in that same pattern, so it'll look like a little pennant. And then this one I was excited about. I don't have any stamps, whether they're silicone or the wooden stamps that are frames. I don't have any die cuts that are frames. I don't have anything that are frames. So I was really happy to see this one. This is from Michael's. Again, it's brand new, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. Lots of crafty opportunities with that one for sure. And I paid $3.99, and it was one of those grab packs at Savers. What else do we have here? Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so cute. So this is for me. This will go into my own collection. If any of you are familiar, you probably immediately recognize. This is a sculpture by Lori Mitchell. I have one other Lori Mitchell piece that we actually, Jim and I, we had hit up a garage sale, I think on our street, up the street. And I bought a bunny a bunch of years ago. It was super cheap because it was broken. One of its ears is broken. And I still put it on display every year. And every year I say, oh, I need to figure out how to fix the ear. I need to get some little clay or something and then paint it, but it's still super cute. So I was really happy to find this, and it was priced really well. These can run into the 45, 50, maybe they run into the 60 or 70. If any of you collect them, you probably do know that. So yeah, I was super, super happy, and it was at such a great price. Isn't that cute? You can't see it when it's standing up, but it's all kinds of adorable. So that was a fun find. That was a little treat for myself. And then these two little containers, little silver, I guess they're not real silver. I'm trying to look at the bottom. So they're probably just silver plated. This one says EPNSAI, Crosby, India, maybe. This one looks to be a little bit newer than this one, but these prices are great. I seldom find these at our Savers, and definitely not at this price. They probably would be $4.99, $5.99, something like that. And then look how cute this one is. So definitely this must be a baby cup, I'm guessing, but look at the handle on that. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. It looks like a piece of cutlery. I just think it's so sweet. And the engraving on this one was very interesting. I did get my little magnifier and try to look at it. I can't necessarily make out the writing. It's in script, but it almost looks like it's hand engraved. It's very interesting. There's a little bit of scratching there. Maybe somebody else was trying to figure out what it said, but I now have quite a little collection of these. I was originally picking them up to make assemblages in, but I find I like to use other things as bases. I tend to do more whimsical designs in my assemblages, so I like to use ribbon spools or thread spools, that kind of thing, maybe tart tins, and I'm finding I'm not gravitating towards these as much, but I do have a fun little collection, and I think it would be fun to pair them with vintage bottle brush trees. I have quite a collection of vintage Christmas bottle brush trees because I pick those up every time I see them, and these will end up in my Etsy shop the closer we get to Christmas. I think that would be a fun little pairing. Maybe we would tie some antique or vintage ribbon onto the handle, but I think those will be really cute for my shop. And then this was the only book. You know, I'm always looking at books. I looked at the books at every single thrift store I went to, and I only picked up one, and this was from the Savers, and I love the graphics. These are some of my favorite books to pick up, and I will say the books at that Savers, much better price than mine. I would say this would probably be $3.99, priced around that if I found this at my Savers, because it's a hardback book. It looks like it used to belong to an elementary school library. It's a withdrawn, but I love the colorations on these. When are these copyrighted? I want to say 7. Oh no, okay, these are much older than I thought. So 1958 is the copyright on this, and I have a couple more that are similar to this. I don't know, I just love the soft, really beautiful, almost watercolor painted look of the illustrations in these books, and they are marvelous to collage with. I've made quite a few different projects with the ones that I have in my collection. But even these little, they're not black and white, they're brown and white, like a cocoa color. Aren't those beautiful? And they pair really nicely with coffee stained paper, alcohol inks, that kind of thing, with just anything that sort of has that watercolor look, that distressing. I don't know, they just really pair well with that. Really happy to find this. And of course, anything that's nature related really grabs my attention. Isn't that beautiful? It's so simple with the pink and the green and the brown. And look at that with the bird. So these are beautiful. These would even be beautiful to frame, wouldn't it? Be lovely to frame. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I'm looking for something fun to fill a little wall in our RV. And I did pick up some inexpensive frames at Dollar Tree that I thought would work for some pictures of the kids, but they're a little bit too small. But this would be so cute. Even this, even saying the end, I think is adorable. So maybe I'll look at that. Maybe there's a couple pages in here that can be framed, because that would be adorable. A little bit of wear on here, but again, I like seeing this wear. I even like that stamp, because then that gives me permission and I don't feel bad about crafting with it. And the other thing that I was on the lookout all week, I picked up a couple more of those low Dollar Tree containers that are the see-through clear acrylic. I'm trying to think. I think I also picked up another one, but I've already put it into use in my drawer that has all my assemblage supplies. I've been trying to hold off not doing a lot of organizing, cleaning out, reorganization, because obviously I've left off that big project that we were all doing together, and I need to circle back around to that. So I've been trying really hard not to do too much, but it's hard because I like things tidy and organized. But I did pick up this at one of the Goodwills, and I think another, which I've already put in place. And then I picked up a couple more of those really low containers that I shared with all of you that work really good for the vintage trims, like rickrack, bias tape, that kind of thing. I picked up 2 more of those, and I've already put them, and I'm using them in my ribbon drawer. So that is it, my friend. It was a lot of fun checking out the different thrift stores and the antique malls in that area. I definitely would go back. I loved the antique mall where I found the trims and the egg and the little chick. I loved that one. It was so bright. The booths were really well stocked. Also, a lot of junk journal type things. I noticed a lot of the booths had fabric remnants. One booth was really geared towards junk journaling. She had fun little packages of, I don't know, library cards, all kinds of really cute stuff. I didn't pick up anything from her booth. A lot of the things were things that I already had in my collection, but definitely that is one that I would definitely love to go back to. And definitely the Goodwills. I love the Goodwills. They were stocked to the brim. I'm also going to put a picture of actually the best thing that I picked up, and I'll have to do a picture. I'll insert it here. But I've had one of those plastic bins on my wish list for about 6 months since I've been doing all this reorganization here in my little crafting area. I've wanted one of those kind of Rubbermaid tall drawer system, and I never find them. I've been looking at our savers constantly. I never run across them, and it's really strange. I've looked on Facebook Marketplace. I do see them on there, but they're like $20, $25 for something that's used, and I could pay that much at Target, maybe less, or Amazon. So I'm like, no, one is going to come my way. I'm going to run across one. And one of the Goodwills I went into, they had 2. So the first one I saw, I ran to it, made a beeline, and it was covered with, it must have been in a kid's room. It had stickers, and it had a bunch of like scribbles with pen, which I was thinking, oh, maybe I could get it out. Probably couldn't have, but so I put that in my cart. And then as I was making my way around, I found a second one, and it was even better because it wasn't see-through, beautiful, perfect condition, super, super clean. I did bring it home and scrub it and wash it, of course, but it's in marvelous condition. So I will put a picture of that. And that was it. I had a fun time. Had a fun time hanging out with Taylor, fun time kind of checking out around her university, around the campus, and I loved all the little towns and such great shopping, much better shopping than I have in my area. So it was fun to check it out. I hope you enjoyed the haul. If there's something here that you would have picked up or something that's your favorite, let me know in the comments, and I will see you soon, friends. Bye.